Hello po sa ating lahat. Good evening po, Sir Terso, and to all my classmates. In behalf of my groupmate, namely Carl John Cornell and Jenny B. Basiwal, my name is Melinda B. Tagalogin. Tonight, I want to address the critical challenges faced by social workers in disaster and safety management. Their roles are not only demanding but also essential in ensuring effective responses during crisis. By understanding these challenges, we can better appreciate the resilience and dedication required in this field. Challenges for social workers in disaster and safety management. What is challenges? Challenges are difficulties or obstacles that individuals or groups face when trying to achieve a goal or complete a task. They can arise in various forms, such as physical, emotional, or logistical issues, and often require problem-solving skills, resilience, and creativity to overcome. Overview for disaster management. Disaster management involves systematic approach to preparing for, responding to, recovering from, and mitigating the impacts of disaster. It encompasses various phases including prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery, ensuring that communities are equipped to handle emergency effectively. By integrating resources, planning, and community involvement, disaster management aims to minimize loss of life and property while promoting resilience in affected areas. So, from what I understood, disaster management is a really comprehensive and systematic process, not just about reacting when something bad happens. It's like continuous cycle that starts way before disaster, goes through the event itself, and then continues long after. So, we talk about how it includes prevention, like for example, making strong buildings. Preparedness is about getting emergency kits ready. Response, the immediately help during an emergency, and then recovery, rebuilding, and get back to normal. So that's the overview for myself about disaster management. So what's super important is that is not just one group's or jobs. It needs everyone, communities, businesses, and different government levels. We should working together. So the main goals are to save lives, protect property, and ultimately help communities become stronger and improve resilience for anything that might happen in the future. It's about being proactive and ready rather than just waiting for things to go wrong. Overview for safety management. Safety management is a systematic approach to identifying, assessing, and controlling risk in various environments, particularly in workplaces. It involves creating policies and procedure to ensure that safety and health of employees as well as compliance with legal regulations. Effective safety management not only protects individuals from harm but also enhances organizational efficiency and productivity by fostering a culture of safety. So, I understand that safety management for social workers is paramount, encompassing physical, psychological, and emotional well-being. It involves thorough risk assessment in diverse settings, recognizing warning signs, and mastering de-escalation techniques. Developing personal safety plans is essential, including practical steps like informing supervisors of whereabouts and ensuring quick exit strategies during home visits. Agencies' policy play a vital role, providing guidelines for managing threats, securing confidential information, and offering supervision and debriefing. So, crucially, safety management addresses the emotional toll of work, combating burnout and secondary trauma through agency-supported self-care, mental health access, and a culture of open discussion. So, effective safety management creates a secure environment, enabling social workers to perform their vital role ethically and without undue risk, ensuring we can continue to advocate for and support our clients' safety. Key challenges for social workers in disaster and safety management. Number 1, resource scarcity and allocation. Number 2, role ambiguity and scope creep. Number 3, secondary trauma and burnout. Number 4, ethical dilemmas in crisis situations. Number 5, cultural competency and language barriers. Number 6, interagency coordination and communication. Number 7, rapid assessment and triangulate. Number 8, technology and infrastructure limitations. Number 9, legal and regulatory compliance. Number 10, long-term recovery planning.
Hello, sir and everyone. Number 1, resource scarcity and allocation. Social workers sometimes don't have enough food, shelter, or medicine to give to everyone who needs it. Example, after Typhoon Yolanda, there was enough relief for all the families, so social workers had to decide how to divide what was available. Kakulangan ng mga resources like pagkain, medisina, tubig at iba pang kailangan para mabuhay. At ang nagawa ng mga social work ay magko-collect ng donasyon or kung ano man ang available na nandoon sa kanila, ay kailangan nilang i-divide para mabigyan lahat ang nasalanta. Number 2, role ambiguity and scope creep. Social workers may be asked to do extra jobs that are not normally part of their work, which can be confusing. Example, during COVID-19, they had to do contact tracing and health education on top of their normal duties. This is number 3, secondary trauma and burnout. Seeing a lot of suffering can make social workers feel stressed, tired, and emotionally drained. Example, after the Bohol earthquake, many felt anxious and helpless because there were so many people needed help. As social worker, kapag nag-respond kayo or namimigay ng relief goods, tas biglang may aftershock yung earthquake, and that earthquake ay mas malakas kaysa una, masasaksihan mo kung paano yung mga taong buhay na magamuran. Dahil sa mga buildings na nag-collapse which can lead to trauma sa nakasaksi sa pangyayari. Number 4, ethical dilemmas in crisis situation. They may face those choices about who to help first or what is the right thing to do. Example, after a volcanic eruption, they had to choose whether to evacuate children and elderly first or treat everyone equally. Dito ay mahirap sa kanila na mag-decide, lalo na kapag buhay ang pinag-uusapan. Hindi ka makapag-decide kung sino ang una mong ililigtas. This is the number 5. Cultural competency and language barriers. It can be hard to help if social workers don't fully understand the culture or language of the people affected. So, example, after the Marawi siege, they needed to respect local costumes and deal with language differences to give proper support. Unfettered example is yung social worker ay isang taga-ibang lugar o iba ang lengguwahe niya at napunta siya sa area na lahat ay Muslim. Hindi sila magkakaintindihan kung ang isa ay hindi alam ang salita nila.
Interagency coordination and communication. Effective disaster response often requires collaboration among various government and non-government organizations, which can be challenging. Example, after Typhoon Ulysses, poor communication between local government units and NGOs led to delay in the distribution of the aid.
Number 7. Rapid assessment and training. Quickly assessing the needs of affected populations and prioritizing services is crucial in disaster situations. For example, following the earthquake in Mindanao in 2019, social workers had to rapidly evaluate the needs of thousands of displaced individuals to allocate resources effectively.
Technology and infrastructure limitations. Damage to infrastructure and limited access to technology can hinder effective service delivery and communication. Example, after Typhoon Ondoy, many areas experienced power outage and damaged roads, making it difficult for social workers to reach affected communities. Legal and regulatory compliance. Navigating complex legal frameworks and regulations can be challenging during disaster response efforts. Example, social workers assisting with the relocation of families affected by flooding had to ensure compliance with local housing laws and regulations. Long-term recovery planning. Transitioning from immediate disaster response to sustainable recovery efforts is often difficult and requires carefully planning. Example, after the devastation of Typhoon Yolanda, social workers faced challenges in developing long-term rehabilitation programs for affected communities, including housing and livelihood support.
Conclusion: social workers play a crucial role in disaster and safety management, facing numerous challenges that can impact their effectiveness and well-being. Issues such as resource scarcity, role ambiguity, and secondary trauma highlight the need for better support system and clear guidelines. Fostering cultural competency and improving interagency coordination are essential for effective service delivery. By addressing these challenges, we can enhance the resilience and impact of social workers, ultimately leading to better outcomes for communities in crisis. So, there may not be enough supplies or help available, making it hard to assist everyone who needs it. Sometimes, social workers are unsure about their specific duties, which can lead to stress and burnout. Do I am right? Social workers often see people suffering, which can affect their own mental health and make it harder for them to do their jobs. They frequently face two choices that can impact vulnerable people, which can create ethical dilemmas. Different backgrounds and languages can make communication difficult, so social workers need to find ways to connect with diverse communications. So, I am right? Working with other agencies is important for a smooth response, but it can be challenging to organize everyone effectively. So they need to quickly figure out what people needs most. But sometimes technology and infrastructure can slow this process down. After the immediate crisis, social workers must think about how to help communities recover in the long run, so which requires careful planning. So I end this report. So my realization about this discussion: working overseas as a domestic nanny has given me a unique perspective on the challenges faced by families in crisis situation. I have witnessed firsthand how resource scarcity can affect a family's ability to cope during difficult times, emphasizing the importance of support systems. My role required me to navigate cultural differences and language barriers, which taught me the value of effective communication and understanding diverse backgrounds. So I often found myself in situations where I had to make quick decisions that impacted the well-being of the children I cared for, highlighting the ethical dilemmas that can arise in caregiving role. So this experience has deepened my appreciation for the resilience of families and the critical support that caregivers provide in times of need. So I will end my reporting here, sir. So once again, thank you po, Sir Terso, sa pag-unawa niyo sa aming mga sitwasyon. Kasi until this time, we still have work. So, lagi lang po akong nakikinig. Kasi po, sa sitwasyon po ko po ay allowed naman po ako mag-cellphone, and my employer is support my study as well. So, hindi ko lang talaga po maiiwanan yung trabaho ko kasi po, I take care of the kids. The kids is always with me. Then, if I open my ano ba yan, yung speaker ko, too noisy po para magsalita kasi sila ay maingay. So, yun po yun. Salamat po muli sa inyong pag-uunawa sa aming sitwasyon. And to all my classmates, thank you po kasi lahat po ng report ko ay natitake note ko lang po mula sa ating mga previous po na discussion, sa mga inputs po ninyo, and of course to our Sir Terso sa lahat po ng inputs niya. Maraming pong salamat sa inyong lahat, and have a good night to all. See you soon po. Thank you. Bye-bye.